Hi there, this is Roxane Webster.
And I'm Keith Alba.
We are with my home team at Keller Williams. And guess what this is?
It's the first episode of 2024 Honest Hour.
Honest Hour, where we do a non-spin environment.
Or no spin, either one, yeah.
Low spin.
No spin.
Talking about real estate and real estate related issues. Keith and I was thinking about this the other day. Do you know that between the two of us, we are pushing in on almost 50 years of direct real estate experience?
I mean, look at these young, beautiful faces. Does it even look possible that we could be pushing in on them? I mean, what were we 3 when we started real estate?
We were 3. You absolutely were. Somebody was changing your diaper with a logo. Good heavens. But I started back when you still had hair, period.
Right, when I had hair. The contracts were chiseled in tablets at that point.
Yeah, shut up.
All right, so this is our 2024 outlook.
Yeah, 2024 outlook.
Yeah, what are you thinking? What's your crystal ball say, Roxy?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, all of the economic indicators that we're seeing kind of lead me to believe that the soft landing that we've been talking about, the whole COVID kind of economy recovery recession talk is kind of happening, right? We're seeing GDP numbers are looking great, unemployment numbers are looking good, interest rates have been dropped a little bit, and there's anticipation that they're going to continue to be dropped. All of these things are the things that would lead us to believe objectively that the economy is doing pretty well. Yet there's still a little bit of the sky is falling. Not even sky is falling. There's a lot of apprehension. And I think that that probably is a combination of a lot of things. We've got horrible things happening globally. We've got an election year that I don't care what side of what aisle you're on. We know this one's going to be a doozy. And
yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a doozy, right? And we've got oh, what was the last factor I was going to put in here? We've got still the reality that even though the interest rates have started to drop, they're still much, much higher than we had gotten used to in the COVID world. So we can say, oh, okay, 5, 6, 7% interest rates are historically low, even though we all got used to 3. I think that's a little disingenuous given the price points. And right over the top of all of that, the only reason I think that we didn't see the housing market kind of free fall last year was because we've got this overriding issue of inventory. Yeah. So that's kind of the state of the union where we are. How about you? What do you see?
Yeah, I think I agree. Initially there was a lot of shock and awe kind of that came when interest rates just spiked so hard, right? And went so up. Now, yes, and looking back historically, I agree, that's, I think, disingenuous. I would agree with that sort of stuff. The recent history, I mean, it's just a few years ago that those 2 and 3% were happening. And so it's tough to now swallow even a 6%. Yet what we're seeing in the market is people are starting to become a little bit more accustomed to it, right? They're saying, you know what, yes, I need a house. I want my own place. I got to get out and do my own thing and plant some roots. I'm tired of renting and dealing with this sort of stuff. And they're biting down hard, swallowing and taking a deep breath and saying, let's go, right? Yep. Multiple stories already in January, multiple offers, houses flying off the market, quickly for the beautiful ones that are move-in ready, priced appropriately, all that sort of a stuff. We're already starting to get back into a fevered selling year. out of 1 month, in this year. And the discussion, again, we've talked a lot about it in past episodes. While the Fed funds rate is not directly tied to interest rates, there is an indirect relationship that's there. Wall Street, the economists, the experts that I listen to and hear, all pointing towards May or June for the Feds to start cutting their rates, which is only going to put downward pressure on mortgage rates, which is going to drive more and more buyers into the market, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's only going to get more fevered pitch as we move through the spring and summer months until we hit the end of the year seasonality. We'll start seeing it pull back some, but not much.
So I think that what that means right now is that anybody who is in, last year, we were in an environment where buyers were asking and sellers were willing to pay closing cost concessions. They weren't as reticent to accept FHA loan terms on the purchases and VA loan terms. I suspect that we get another month, 6, 8 weeks from now, we're going to be right back into highly competitive. So those who need concessions, closing costs, or down payment assistance, or interest rate buy downs, there's going to be a really brief window of opportunity, and it's like right that window's closing
That
fast.
window is closing. Yeah, it's getting shut. And definitely interest rates are going to be a driving factor of how quickly that window shuts. I agree with you. Right now, in the past, I'd say 10, 11 months, there was a lot of leverage for buyers in negotiating and getting stuff. I was successful in getting $25,000 from the seller in one property on things, where a year before that,
Forget.
you're not going to do it, right? That client would have been renting to save up money to get that $25,000, and probably a little bit more because they would have had to overbid and maybe even had to offer an appraisal guarantee, something along those lines. So yeah, the window's shutting. And if you're in the market for a new home, I'd encourage you to increase that timeline, create some urgency, and get out there soon.
Another thing that I've been seeing, which is really interesting to me, excuse me, is particularly in the past year, where there's been it has been a seller's market this whole time, but it almost didn't feel like it. When we define a seller's market, we define a seller's market as there being more than 6 months of inventory. So if we today stopped putting any new markets on the house, how long I'm on the market, any new markets on the house, that too, any new houses on the market, how long would it take to sell all of the existing inventory with the existing buyers that we have in the market? That's how we determine whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. And actually over 6 months of inventory is usually a buyer's market. Less than 6 months of inventory is considered a seller's market. And then that 6-month mark is like a balanced market. Well, we've never topped. In some price points we have, but even the highest price points, we've been looking at less than 3 months of inventory, which felt like it was tipping towards the buyer, because we've been in an environment for years where we've been less than a month of inventory, right?
Yeah, right now we're at roughly 20% of the inventory we would need in order to get to that equilibrium, or that 6 months worth of stuff. So there's a fraction, right?
Yeah.
A fifth of the inventory that you would need in order to get to the balance. And it's over 22,000 additional listings that would need to hit the market in order to hit that 6 months worth of inventory. And that's with no new buyers coming to the market either.
That's right.
Rates drop again. We saw them bouncing around a little bit in January. They get down into mid to lower threes, and then creep up to or mid to lower sixes up to the higher sixes. So there's still some adjustments and wiggle rooms that are happening, but it's in the sixes. You can get it down to the low sixes. And if you get out there soon, you have the ability to potentially get some additional monies from the seller to do a temporary or a permanent rate buy down to get out of that sixes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that this has created this kind of uncertain environment. We've seen a lot of investors who want to buy flips, but the numbers for those flips only work if they're really securing offers that are way under the list price of houses, right?
I would say probably market value too, right? Because in order for them to make their margins, they got to buy the property. It's got to have enough room in there for them to recoup their costs, right? So the rehab, the cabinets and flooring, painting, all of that kind of a stuff, they buying that house to get that money back, plus their cost of sales,
Yep.
plus their profit, right?
Why
These
would they do it otherwise?
their business, right? They're not just out there saying, hey, I want to make my community look better. And so I'm going to do this nonprofit work and just get my money back. No, not at all. They're making that their intent is to pocket some additional cash in there. So
That's
you
right.
need all of those three things, right? Their costs, their rehab costs, their cost
And
of
the profit
sale,
margin.
and the profit, right? Yeah. So in order for that to make it happen, their numbers are pretty low. For
So
some,
we've been seeing lots of, listings that we put on the market that get, even if they get multiple offers, the multiple offer tiers are radically different. You've got multiple offers from investors that are $75,000 or $100,000 below the multiple offers from the primary residence. So,
well,
and if you don't price it properly to get at that higher tier to attract the primary residents, these are the only game in town. And we personally would rather see that profit margin go into the seller's pocket than an investor's. I'm an investor. I love investors, but we will really need to be careful about how we price these properties if we don't want to be put into a position where those are the only offers we have to choose from.
yeah, I think it goes back to the conversations we were having when Zillow's home buying program started, right? And that's gone now because they were overly aggressive in buying it. But there's a balance that's there. And as a seller, you need to make a determination. Do you want the convenience and hit the easy button? Because those investor offers are absolutely going to be that. But you're leaving some money on the table, in our opinion, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we could probably get a better offer without even having to invest any money by bringing it to the full market, right? Take it out there. See, there's plenty of homeowners or people that have the intention of occupying it as their primary residence that are handy or don't mind doing the repairs while they're living in the house. They're going to take that capital gains exemption after a couple of years of living in the place, so they can do it over time and make it work. So their numbers are a lot less. When you start talking about the rehabs, they're not budgeting as well or as strictly as a flipper, right? Because
That's
that's a
right.
short-term investment, wanting to get it back. Whereas a homeowner occupied buyer would have the ability to do same thing that flipper is going to do, extend it over a period of time, or potentially even get a construction rehab loan in the
And
acquisition.
then make their money.
Get it done, yeah, and then sit in the property for a period of time. But it's going to be that convenience versus dealing with showings and getting people into the property and going through the inspections and appraisals and all that kind of a stuff. And with done properly, it should net the seller more money.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah. Well, that is my crystal ball.
Yeah.
Here, do
We'll
you have any other nuggets?
We shall see, right? We shall see. I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The election year is always a wild card. We never know what's going to happen with that. Yeah, I would say some of the legislation that's on the books in the state as well could potentially affect people's desires and willingness to purchase. So see how that.
That's right. That's right. We're seeing, and that might be the topic of a whole other,
I was gonna say more to come on that in another honest hour, right? Is when we're talking about our vision for 2024, but talk about some of those other ones in future. Say come
excellent.
up.
Well, you guys have a great day. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, ring the little bell so that you'll be
Notification bell, yeah.
notified. That's right. Yeah, so that we can make sure that our tens of tens subscribed fans know when we're dropping new material.
Our multiple handful of subscribers out there.
Loyal subscribers.
See you in the next one.
All right.